I'm Andy King. I'm chair of Save Our Town and joined today by our vice chair, Paul Stevens. The man at the bottom left doesn't need any introduction to anybody, but joining us is his sister, Maureen, and we're delighted to have you with us, and thanks for taking the time, Maureen. Well, and Mick as well, of course. We Save Our Town as a group has been in existence for about 4 or 5 years now. There's 6 volunteers run it, and fundamentally we started by promoting the new football ground and the enabling development in Luton, the long overdue new stadium. So that battle has won, and we've carried on being an advocate for Luton since then, promoting good news stories, and we're very keen on the industrial heritage of the town, which we think is understated. So we're working on that, and it's fair to say that five out of the 6 Save Our Town volunteers are Mad Hatters as well. So we're obviously delighted to have Mick with us today. We're currently walking for Prostate Cancer UK, a 1,000-mile route from Land's End to John O'Groats via every club that Mick played for in his professional career. So started off at Bristol City, working away to Wimbledon, Chelsea, Luton, Coventry, Birmingham, Derby, Lincoln, Sunderland and Newcastle. I don't know what we're going to do when we get north of Newcastle. It's a long way to John O'Groats, but we'll deal with that at the time. So we're raising money. We're doing really well. We're well above the halfway stage now, Paul, and everybody's raising cash and being very, very generous. We're particularly keen to support Mick's message, which is simply to get yourself tested, guys, because if you get any diagnosis early, the results are spectacularly good normally. So get yourself tested. Have the courage to go to your doctor. It really isn't that difficult. Takes up 30 seconds, and then have a blood test, and it makes sense, especially if you're over the age 50. Okay, that's the introduction. So welcome again to Mick and Maureen. So you're the little brother then, Mick, apparently.
Yeah, she's been marvellous for me, Maureen, and all my other sisters and brother. But she's been really supportive of me over the last 16, 18 months. Since I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and it's great to have on here. It's great support, and she'll give you a lovely insight into going back a few years ago when we used to be. Well, she's still a regular supporter of Sunderland Football Club, and she still attends now. She'll tell you all about that. But yeah, we used to go to the games together, me and my other sister Margaret. So we are massive Sunderland fans, and it's just great to have her on here, and we can have a chat and a catch up.
Excellent, yeah. I've got a question, Mick. Did you go to the 1973 FA Cup quarter-final at Roker? Were you there?
I did go to the FA Cup quarter-final. Yeah. That wasn't against Luton, actually.
Oh, okay.
The Luton one was the game before.
Was it? I thought we played.
No, the quarter-final was against Manchester City.
Ah, okay.
And I was at all the games. I was a big follower of Sunderland, obviously, and I was at the Luton game. Sunderland won 2-0. It's probably the only time ever wanted Luton to lose, and it was really. John Moore was playing. I still remember the players who were playing. Vic Callum was playing for Sunderland at the time after he left Luton.
That's right.
And we went on and played Man City. Then we played Arsenal in the semi-final. And obviously in '73 we played Leeds in the final. And I was at Wembley on the for that game also. Yeah, so that was believe it or not, that was my first ever visit to London. And I was 14 years old, and I was fortunate enough to watch every game on that cup run.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, you're right. Vic Callum left Luton to play for Sunderland that same season, I seem to remember. And the referee, by the way, was Jack Taylor. The famous yeah. But that was John Moore's last game for Luton as well. I think he said the wrong thing on the coach on the way home. So, anyway, Maury, what do you remember about Mick's early days? When he was a kid, sport-wise.
obsessed with football, played football every minute he had, not just competitively, but out in the street with our neighbours. And he used to go along to the local school field, and every Sunday morning they used to have games along there. And just every minute he was out playing football. He loved it, and I think he'll say himself, he stopped playing a little bit when he was supporting Sunderland and doing quite a bit of travelling to away games. And I wouldn't say lost interest, but just spent more time following Sunderland, and then came back to it when he was sort of in his about 15, 16, I think, and picked up, and we haven't looked back since then. It's been fantastic. Yeah.
Certainly has.
I think he learned a lot of his skill just playing in the street with some of our neighbours.
Yeah, it was a hotbed of football in the North East. And if I remember, Mick, when Graham Taylor signed you for Lincoln, didn't he take some other lads from the same school or something?
Yeah, well, from the same team. I played for a team called Lambton Street Boys. It was an under-18 team. And going back to what Maureen said previously there, I stopped playing for about 18 months, and I just followed Sunderland, and I'd go to all the away games on Friday night. Me and my mates would hitchhike to games and jump on the buses on the way back, and just had fun and all that, you know. Then a friend of mine who was the manager then, Norman Alder, he knocked on my door and asked me if I wanted to play for Lambton Street, because one of my mates who played for Lambton Street, a guy called Tommy Young, has recommended me, and he said, "Look, I'll give you 50p a goal." So I went and played, and I got the taste for it again. I loved it. We had a good team. Four of those boys, myself, Alan Eden, Mickey Smith, and Keith Laybourne. Keith Laybourne is not around anymore. He died of cancer, unfortunately. Four of us went down to Lincoln. Graham Taylor came up to watch the game, watch a few games when we played in there. And strange enough, the day I signed for Lincoln, the day I went to the ground at the start of pre-season was, and Graham Taylor became the manager of Watford. So I never actually got to be managed by Graham Taylor until I got into the England B team, and Graham was the manager then. But going back to what you said about Sunderland being a hotbed of football players, you're dead right there. And in my school, in my junior school at St Cuthbert's, a year below me was Mickey Harford, who was one of the best players I've ever seen in control of a football, and Kevin Dillon. So we all played in the same team, myself, Kevin Dillon, and Mickey Harford. So I mean, and Kevin Dillon went to Birmingham, Mickey Harford went to Tottenham, and it was a few players that Sunderland missed out on, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because
Maureen, what was the when Mick was starting off in the football career, what was sort of the family's view of that? Was it supportive, or was it go and get a proper job? I just wondered what yours from the family view was.
Oh, so excited. We just wanted him to do well, and we supported him as much as we could at Lincoln City. It was a bit of a travel for us, but we did get down to Sunderland for quite a few games. And he used to, we didn't have a telephone at home at the time because it was, mid-70s. And Michael used to write letters home to us, and it was lovely. He used to get the letters, and he would send the newspaper cuttings from the local paper. And my mum kept scrapbooks, and unfortunately, I've got all of those scrapbooks now. And the start from Michael's career at Lincoln City all the way through. And sadly, when she died in 2002, she still had a lot of the cuttings that she hadn't managed to get into the books. So I took over that role and tried to put them in some kind of chronological order as best I could. So we've got some amazing scrapbooks, and all of the family are just exceptionally proud. My dad was probably his biggest critic, but in the nicest way possible. Just always wanted to get the best out of him.
Was it a sporting family, Maureen?
Sorry? Was
it a sporting family?
Go on, tell them all, Maureen. Tell them all.
Our eldest brother, John, was a very good footballer. And there's quite a big age gap. There's five of us. And John, the eldest now, He's actually 78. And then that comes down to Michael, who's the youngest at 63. So there's quite a big age gap. But in his day, John was a very talented footballer. Our sister Pat she's 76, and she's only very recently stopped playing tennis, which she played every day, and that was due to an injury. I made a career out of sport as well, because I was a PE teacher for 35 years. And Margaret, yeah, she's played a bit of badminton, and probably not quite as sporty as the rest of us, but yeah, sporty family, and we were always encouraged to go out there. And competition's good, isn't it? Sport's good. It teaches you lots of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me. Sorry to interrupt, but I think if Maureen had trials for England, she won't be. She hasn't told you that she had netball trials for England. She was a fantastic netball player. I think she was goal shooter. I think, and I used to watch her play, and she was brilliant. And she always says to me, and she's so right. If she'd have been a professional netball player, she'd have been playing for Manchester United or Tottenham or. Yeah, no, she was really sporty and very, very good at what she did. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. The genes and the competitive spirit alive, that's for sure. Paul.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question, Mick. Obviously, looking at your playing career, I'm comparing Andre Gray played Saturday and he moved from Luton to Watford. In your career, you moved from Sunderland, Newcastle. How did you sort of feel about that? Because obviously, the fans on Saturday, some of them were still anti and Andre Gray because he dared to play for the other team. I just wondered how you felt playing for the rivals in the northeast.
Well, it was a real difficult time for me when I first moved to Newcastle when I was very young. I'd had 2 or 3 years at Lincoln, and I mean Newcastle was in my opinion is a massive club and a very good club, you know, and it was an honour to play for them. We were in the Championship then. Arthur Cox was the manager. We had a real aging team. It was quite an old team, and I was part of there was 3 young lads in the team. Myself, Chris Waddle, and a lad called Kenny Wharton, who were very good players. And it was an aging team, and we weren't going anywhere. And I had the number 9 shirt, and I took the brunt of it really, because I just couldn't handle it at times. I mean, I did okay. My last game for Newcastle, I scored 2 goals, but then the manager came to me at the end of the season after Cox. He said, "Look, Mick, the best thing for you to do is move on and all that. You know, it's not going to work out for you here." And I mean, in those days, you got your boots and you travelled, you know, and that's what happened. I got my boots and I went down to Bristol City, and it learned me a massive lesson when I left Newcastle, that I would never let the fans or anyone ever get on top of me again, and that, you know. And it's a game of football, and it learned me a great lesson not to get hung up by the fans and the criticism you got, and it did affect me in a big way, but in the other way it was a real positive for me, and I think me leaving Newcastle kick-started my career a little bit, in all fairness. I've got no grievance with the Newcastle fans. I think that's football. If you're not playing particularly well, you deserve a bit of stick and all that, you know. So it was just in a funny kind of way, it was a positive outcome for me.
Yeah, you enjoyed your time at Bristol, Mick, didn't you?
I loved it at Bristol. Yeah, great city. You know, we had an interesting management team. It was Bobby Houghton and Roy Hodgson, and Bobby left, and Roy, who we all know, Roy is a fantastic manager. He's got a great experience. It was his first ever job in England. You know, some of his coaching methods were brilliant. I mean, and they were so far ahead in that, you know. And I loved playing for Bristol City. I loved playing for Roy, and within that time, I did very, very well, and I got a move to Birmingham out of it, you know. And my time there was excellent, and you know, when I went to Birmingham, it was funny because we played Aston Villa in the FA Cup on this Saturday afternoon, and it was when Villa had that big. It was the year they won the European Cup, and they had a super team, and we lost 1-0, and I played really, really well, and Ron Saunders was then the manager. So we all know that Ron left Villa, and Villa won the European Cup, and then Ron became the manager of Birmingham, and his first signing was me. And to be signed by Ron Saunders was something to be cherished, you know, because he was a renowned manager and a fantastic manager, and to be signed by him was a fantastic, and he was really good for me, Ron, at Birmingham, really good for me.
Tough as old boots.
Yeah, Maureen, Mick's gone on, you know, had a long career as a player and then various management roles and leadership roles in football. Did you see that in your younger brother, being a leader in football?
Never ever underestimated him. He's just, no, never underestimate him. He's a very intelligent guy and very astute. And I think, I mean, he was a fantastic player. But one of the things that I recognise is the huge talent he's got for spotting potential. And his personality is such that you couldn't not like him, could you? We all, I mean, I love him to bits, but he's just got such a great way of managing people and handling people and gets the best out of them. So never ever underestimate him.
Yeah, great leader, absolutely. And in fact, my favourite memory of all the time I've watched Mick and watched Luton is the, strangely not a playing thing, it was the 2009 trophy at Wembley. I mean, not only was there 42,000 Luton fans in the ground, which is staggering, but to bolt together a team of loans and kids, one or two experienced players, and at that time Scunthorpe were leading the league above us. We were right at the bottom of the League Two. They were leading. I don't know whether they went up that season, but they were certainly leading at the time. So they had a useful side, and for him to motivate and manage that team, I mean, extraordinary result. I mean, Kev Nichols, that must have been the best game of his life. And that's,
I remember we did well. We were there.
Yeah, the atmosphere was unbelievable, and all down to your man. So brilliant piece of leadership. Incidentally, the worst bit was the fact that he wasn't wearing a Luton shirt when he travelled all over those Watford players that time. That would have made my day.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So Maureen, you still go to watch Sunderland then, do you, regularly?
Yeah, we've got a box at the stadium about with my husband Jeff and some of his family. So yeah, we're there all the time. Struggling a bit and a bit inconsistent at the moment, and we just wait till 75 minutes now, and that's when they seem to score their goals. The performances haven't been great, I've got to be honest, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and just hope that Luton are in the Premiership next season and Sunderland are in the Championship. We still won't meet.
Yeah. So do you get to watch Luton at all?
Yeah, we were at Middlesbrough recently. We came down for the Blackburn game a few weeks ago, and we're off to Hull tomorrow for the weekend. So we go to the Hull game. Yeah.
Brilliant. What was Mick like? What was Mick like as a cricketer when he was young, Maureen?
He loved every sport. My brother was into everything you could possibly imagine. He was one of these kids who he had so many interests, and you know, he played football a lot, but he would play cricket. He'd go fishing off the pier at Roker. He went boxing. He would just try his hand at absolutely everything. And my dad had a great love of cricket, because I was a bit of a tennis player as well. I liked my tennis, and I remember when the test matches for the Honor and Wimbledon was on. You only had one TV in the house at that time. There was arguments over whether it was the test match or whether it was the tennis.
Absolutely, I remember that with my mum.
Our eldest brother John, he's an absolute cricket fanatic as well. So yeah.
Well, I've seen one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life at Wardown Park about 2 years ago, and I can't remember who hit the ball, but it was an absolute nailed on six. And suddenly this salmon leapt out and caught the ball in one hand and managed to stop himself falling over the boundary. I've never seen it.
I remember that. I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah, left-hander, yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure what hand was in it, but it was bloody good.
It was. I saw our chairman David Wilkins coming on the bowl, and because of my knee, I just used to go on the slips, and I thought, I'll just wander on the boundary. And funny enough, John Piper was stood behind me. John Piper and the boys were stood behind me, and they gave me a bit of stick. And when David bowls, you know somebody's going to get smashed all over the place. Anyway, there was a young lad in, and he's a really good cricketer. He's one of the Asian lads, and he's a real talented batsman, and he starts smashing them all over the place. And I saw the ball come over, and I thought, well, I've got to get this. And I wouldn't call it a run, but I've moved my legs and I've jumped in the air, and I never even had my eye on the ball, and I just stuck my left hand in the air. Somehow the ball hit my hand, and it was a brilliant catch, absolutely brilliant. Even though I see it myself, I was shocked at it.
It absolutely
in
was.
my palm and that, you know.
Yeah, stunning. I couldn't believe it, but yeah,
I couldn't believe it, Andy. Bloody hell.
Yeah. So, Paul.
Yeah, to say, just back on the Luton thing, really, Maureen. You know, you've probably seen when when we couldn't go to games, and now we're going back to games on iFollow. The fans' appreciation of Mick. I just wondered, what does that mean to you and your family when you hear fans, supporting Mick?
Honestly, I can't begin to tell you. And all the messages of support that I've read on Twitter, and people I've met when I've been down to stay with Michael in Hartford, and the reception he gets at the ground. And it's very hard for us being so far away. And so we take the opportunity when we can. We went to Middlesbrough to see Luton and hopefully to see Michael, and he wasn't there because he had COVID, so that was disappointing. But every opportunity we get, we'll go and watch Luton, and we're just so grateful for the messages. And as I say, when you're hundreds of miles away, and it was really hard when Michael was first diagnosed, because it was just prior to Christmas, and we were in lockdown, so we had to wait a long time before we could visit, and that was really tough when you couldn't just go and give him a cuddle, and but we've seen quite a bit of him since then. But the support that he's had from everybody, the supporters, the club have been absolutely fantastic. Gary Sweet and David, Nathan, everybody's just been fantastic, and there's no words I can say that. I'm sure all of the fans and everybody else, Maureen, thinks pretty much it's payback time, for everything he's done for the club and for the fans. I mean, we talk about legends, and you hear some people talking about legends. It's a bit of a joke. I mean, there's only one nailed on legend, and he's on screen now. So, and that's not BS or anything. That's a statement of fact. I mean, some of the stuff he's done against the odds as well. I've talked about the Johnson's Trophy, but the promotion year when he took over, excuse me, and carried on. Just a couple of things, and he wears it on the sleeve, and everybody recognises that. I mean, there's no side to Mick. We don't. That one, and nobody thinks that. So genuine as they come. So bit of payback time, I think, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing. By the way, mate, you owe me a few pints. My legs are killing me, I tell you. My age, we carry all that weight around for 100 miles. What's going on?
You've done amazing. And,
fantastic.
Albeit I am a Sunderland fan, but the fans of Luton Town are, in my opinion, by far the best fans in the country. And I'm not just saying that. I'm just telling that's my honest opinion. And the way they've supported me, the way they've supported the club. The big thing for me is the ups and downs you guys have had, we've had as a football club, and just where we are now, and the way you get behind the team, and just I wouldn't want to say, but the rubbish you've had to put up with the years and what's happened, and the times, the way we've been treated at times, the fan base and the way you've conducted yourselves is just absolutely fantastic, and you deserve everything that we're getting at the moment, the fans.
Maureen, is there anything you want to tell us about Mick that we haven't asked? Any secrets you want to let out the family bag?
Was he spoiled, Mick? As the youngest, Maureen? Was he
spoiled?
You should say that. It's funny you should say that. Yeah, I think he was. I think there was John, who was the eldest, I've said, and then there was 3 girls, and I think my dad really wanted another boy. And when Michael arrived, and he's always Michael shows mind. And when Michael arrived, yeah, I think he was a little bit spoiled, but who cares?
Yeah.
And his pals used to come and knock on the back door and say, "Is Mick coming out?" And my mum wouldn't respond.
No.
Who? So it was always Michael. And when they said, "Is Michael coming out?" All right, fine, yeah. And no, I'm just so proud of him. Somebody said to me not very long ago, "You must be very proud. You must have been really proud of Michael when he won his England caps." And I said, "Yeah, I was really proud. And I'm proud of all of his football achievements, but I'm more proud of the person he is."
Yep.
You know, we were brought up in a very, very loving family where we were taught to work hard and respect people. And I think Michael's the epitome of that.
Absolutely. How much did your dad influence did your dad have on your career, Mick? Michael, sorry.
Yeah, in a sorry, Andrew. Yeah. No.
My mother was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Oh, never. Yeah. Anyway,
That's what I used to say to my good mate Andy King. When I used to call him Andrew, he knew he was in trouble. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my father was pivotal in my supporting me and all that. You know, he would do it in a different kind of way. He'd always be at my games and he wouldn't say a word. He'd just stand. I used to see him come in. Because he used to have a big overcoat and a trilby, and you'd see him walk through the gates and he'd stand there and he'd watch the game. Then after the game, he wouldn't wait. He'd just disappear and go down the pub and that's the way life was up there, you know. And I never used to ask him how I played and all that, you know. And some days he'd have a comment, some days he wouldn't have a comment, but he was always there. He was always at the games and he was always very supportive.
Yeah.
And when I first joined Lincoln, you know, as Maureen said earlier, the family would, you know, it was a long way and we didn't have a lot of money and things were tight when we were in Sunderland and that, you know, and they'd travel as often as they could down to Lincoln, travel up and down on the day and get back late at night. And I really appreciated that support for them being there. So, you know, I know fantastic support of family, yes.
You had a spell at Sunderland, Mick. I mean, I just got a note here that in your 217 games for Luton, you scored 92 goals. That's a hell of a ratio. I mean, that's right up there. But what happened at Sunderland? Because you weren't there for very long. Was there a problem with the management or something? Why did it turn out? It was late in your career, mine, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, not at all. Nothing wrong with the management. Terry Butcher was the manager. The club, we had some good players. I mean, the likes of Gary Howes, Peter Davenport was there, Don Goodman. We had some good players. It's just the team was struggling for some reason. I didn't spend a lot of time there when I went up there. I'll tell you what happened eventually at the end of it. But I went there, and when I left Chelsea, I still don't know the reason why I left Chelsea. We were in the Premier League. I was a top goal scorer, and I was told by David Webb, who was the interim manager, that he would never play for Chelsea again. I said, why? He went, oh, well, if you need to find out, you need to speak to the chairman, but I never even got to the chairman. He said, look, we've had a bid in from Sunderland. What do you want to do? I said, well, I ain't going to play. I'm going to go. I want to play football. And I was 32 then. Well, what I should have done was, with respect, I wanted to play for Sunderland, but I'd been speaking to the chairman at Luton, David Kohler, then, and I should have called David up and maybe gone back there, because the geography didn't really work out for me. My son was in and around Luton. He was very, very young. And when I went up to Sunderland, after about 3 or 4 months, my son was involved in a really bad road accident. And that was the end of it for me. I knew I had to move back south. And I went into the club, spoke to Terry Butcher, and he said, Mick, with our blessing, I mean, you can go. And I signed for Coventry, which I could commute on a daily basis to Coventry. So, I mean, I was very, very grateful for Sunderland for doing that for me. And that's the reason why I left Sunderland, you know. Yeah. Even albeit it wasn't what I call very fruitful, or I had a great time. It was a great honour. I mean, I think I played 18 games. I scored 4 or 5 goals, and it was just a great honour to score for your hometown club and actually play for your hometown club.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a shame the circumstances were as they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Strangely at Chelsea though, who's the was that Bates the chairman at that time?
Ken Bates, yeah, Ken Bates. I don't know why I was doing really well. It was the first year of the Premier League, '92, and things just changed. I'd been injured, and I was ready to start playing again. And they said, "Look, you'll never play again." I don't know why. No idea.
Weird.
Maybe the new managers are coming in and they want to bring new blood in, whatever. But I've no idea what. I'd love to know why.
Oh.
Yeah, well, we're down to the last 5 minutes of the Zoom. So, Mick, is there any sort of, the campaign we're on? Is there any sort of words that you support or any message you'd like to get out to people out there about prostate cancer, so we can sort of end on that?
Well, absolutely, and I mean, what you guys have done. March of the month for Mick, yeah. You better edit that one a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so proud to be part of it, and I'm so proud of what you're doing, and it's absolutely brilliant. What you've done so far and what you're trying to achieve. It's absolutely fantastic, and just the message for anyone out there who's got symptoms of prostate cancer, please get tested. Please make sure you do it as quick as possible, because the earlier you do it, the better it is. And that's a great message, and it's just a message of thanks to you guys. Save our town. You've been amazing, and what you've done for me is something I'll never be able to repay you. So thanks very much.
Well, it's all our pleasure, trust me. Well, not physically pleasure, that's not a story. But no, we're doing it for the reasons and supporting you and trying to give a bit back, really. And Maureen, thanks ever so much for coming on and joining us today. It's really a privilege to have you with us. Thank you.
Well, the thanks goes to you and your group who are doing this fantastic work. It's just amazing what you're doing, and the Prostate UK and for my brother, who I love more than I can tell you, and it means so much to his family in Sunderland and also his family in Luton, who have been for a phenomenal support to him as well.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks ever so much for your time, Mick, especially as well. Obviously, thanks for your support. And if anybody who's watching this wants to donate, just go to saveourtownluton.co.uk, and there's a donate button on our homepage of our website, and also you can see us on Twitter and Facebook, and every single pound counts. So we want to get the message out there, the awareness, and the research. You want to support the research as well, which has come on in leaps and bounds in the last 10 years. So thanks ever so much, guys. Great.
Can I just say, Andy, to finish?
Yes.
We're the lads.
Hey.
We're the lads, and hey. Come on, you hatters.
Hey.
Come on, you hatters.
And I might see you in Hull Saturday then.
Hey.
3 points.
Yeah.